Are EV truck sales too dependent on incentives from the government? Well, folks, after the slowdown we've witnessed in the Class 8 logistics space over the past 12 months, that's the question on most people's minds. There's been plenty of new manufacturers come alongside in the battery electric and the hydrogen space, but we are yet to see really any major developments of them getting on the road and realizing meaningful revenue. And that question right there is particularly important for a company like Nikola Motors, which officially started production of their hydrogen fuel cell electric Class 8 semi-truck in North America, making it essentially the very first such product on the market in the country. This is obviously a very big deal because the Class 8 space is typically known to have a lot more viability when it comes to using a fuel like hydrogen instead of using permanent grid infrastructure for charging large batteries. But obviously, because these trucks are extremely expensive at a low volume like they are right now, customers can't just really go out and buy such a vehicle as they see fit. A lot of budgeting as well as financial analysis needs to be done for any sort of fleet to even consider touching such an expensive vehicle, which is right now more than 70 to 80% more expensive than your traditional diesel truck. So how exactly can we bridge this price gap between electric trucks and those that are already on the roads today? Well, folks, those questions are exactly what we're going to try to address in this video. But as usual, folks, before we get into it, make sure to drop me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. First things first, folks, let's break down Nikola Motors' latest earnings report, where the company actually sold 0 trucks, but provided us some pretty interesting insight into what's going on in the market right now, as well as what they're doing with their new product launch. And yes, folks, the very first thing to remember here is that Nikola has actually had an electric semi-truck on the market for quite a while now. They started off with the battery electric Tray, which launched in March of 2022, and since then they've been more than 200 units sold to real customers from their dealer network, meaning the company has realized quite a lot of meaningful revenue, and interests in customer demand has obviously grown because once a market is established, the brand can then tailor new solutions around it. But folks, as it turned out, Nikola launched their new product at exactly really the wrong time. At a time when inflation was really high and the consumer was getting struck with extremely low income growth. This in and of itself helped a lot of logistics and trucking businesses not only increase their losses, but also significantly reduce the demand for Class 8 trucks as a whole. Following the signs and writings on the wall, the company ended up pausing production of their battery electric semi-truck in their factory in Coolidge, Arizona, to not only retool for the new hydrogen vehicle that would be produced on the same lines, but also to prepare for what would end up being a very costly recall of the battery packs in those battery trucks. Around 209 of Nikola's trucks are in the field and are going to be recalled to get a free replacement of their battery, which obviously happened to have some issues catching fire multiple occasions over the past few months. And as you can see, for the 3 months ended September 30th, this means the company not only produced no battery electric trucks because of obvious loss impairments if they continued to do so, but they also shipped just around 3 to dealers, which most likely have already been repaired. Although still better off than some of the net losses the company's experienced over the past few years, this did accelerate the net loss to $425 million in the latest quarter. You see, folks, there's a reason why there are so many EV truck offerings on the market, but so few actually in the hands of customers. Because as it turns out, when using an electric powertrain, the only cost to the consumer is not only the cost of the vehicle and maintaining it, but also, as it turns out, charging infrastructure. These companies in many cases have to install chargers on site wherever they are expected to see the trucks sit idle, and invest in the transmission line infrastructure, as well as getting the site permitted from local authorities to add to the electric grid around them. All these processes are not only costly, but they take a lot of time as well, which happens to be one of the reasons why the Tesla Semi, for example, which launched more than 5 years ago, is still yet to be commercially ready. Yes, PepsiCo has bought a few dozen Tesla Semis and they've put them into their operations very seamlessly. But Pepsi also does north of $90 billion in annual revenue, which can't really be said for a lot of the owner-operator as well as smaller fleet businesses that have trucks anywhere from 7 to 10 in their company. PepsiCo can actually afford to build the batteries, the charging connectors, as well as the converters needed to power the Semi, because obviously charging a vehicle like this needs to be a lot faster than your conventional car. What this boils down to, folks, is that there is an inherent technology gap that is slowing down the adoption of electric semi-trucks. And companies that are focusing their mission on accelerating this adoption need to work with government and state officials to really make sure companies can reduce their emissions effectively. Because otherwise, there really is no hope with the high cost of this technology as well as the high turnover rate needed to get these kinds of vehicles on the road. And that's why, folks, as many people make fun of California for being the most progressive and liberal state when it comes to clean energy, they are doing that for good reason. And that is exactly why they've had so much success with electric vehicles as well as even hydrogen fuel cells, which obviously don't even sell anywhere else in the country. Not only does California have the strictest emissions regulations now in the entire country, but they have some of the best voucher as well as incentives that companies can leverage to buy these electric trucks without having to spend any more than a conventional diesel one. Over 96% of all the fuel cell vouchers in the entire California state are currently accounted for by the Nikola hydrogen fuel cell truck, with 50% of them being for their battery electric one as of October 27th. These vouchers incentivize these companies anywhere from $200,000 to $450,000 for a fleet of fewer than 20 trucks. And given the fact that the Port of Los Angeles is banning the sale of new diesel trucks by the 1st of January 2024, there are good tailwinds for getting electric semis on the road. Even though, yes, it's going to take time and it's going to take a lot of customer involvement. Just like with the commercialization of most new technologies, you need to be highly geographically focused and build some sort of network density when trying to make this kind of business model with electric trucks work. You need to educate owner-operators on how to use them through sales teams, as well as make sure the customer has a seamless transition from the infrastructure to the cost as well as the maintenance. And although right now there's only a few handful companies working on it, struggling as they are in the short term, the hopes for the industry, in my opinion, still look stronger than ever before. But as usual, folks, that is just my take on the situation. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.